Second question is for the Giants. What is Daniel Jones's upside? And as I mentioned earlier, he finished as, on a per-game basis, number 8 in 4-point per passing touchdown leagues, but number 14 in 6-point per passing touchdown leagues. And when you want upside, you need big weeks. He had very few of them. Points per game, he was just about even with Trevor Lawrence and Jared Goff. Lawrence and Goff both had 6 games during the regular season with more than 23 fantasy points. Daniel Jones had 3. So he almost never had a big game. So what is Daniel Jones's upside? That's the question. Heath, first word.
If the roster remains as it is, then I think it's pretty close to what you saw this year. I think this year is pretty close to a best case scenario for the Giants based on their roster. If they go out and go get him an A.J. Brown, a Stephon Diggs, a something like that as a number 1 wide receiver, then I think his upside is in 4-point per passing touchdown leagues, top 6, and in 6-point, probably top 10.
Jamie.
Yeah, I mean, I said it last week. He's one of 9 quarterbacks in NFL history with 3,000 passing yards and 700 rushing yards. We crave those things. Guys that are going to run the ball like this. And so I agree with Heath. I think this is and he did this. Again to whatever extent he did this with Isaiah Hodgins and Richie James and Darius Slayton. Now 2 of those guys are free agents. So, you'll see what happens there in terms of Slayton and James with what they decide to do. But Wan'Dale Robinson at some point will be back. Hopefully what we saw from him and some flashes can add to that. But, yeah, they need to, invest in their receiving core. You mentioned this, Adam, that the offensive line is certainly trending, or Dave, one of you guys, the offensive line, I was trending in the right direction, and hopefully will continue to get better, in drafting Thomas and Neal in the last couple of seasons. So, he's got clearly a great play caller behind him and supporting him. Sounds like they may lose, one of their assistants if Kafka leaves, but I think Brian Daboll deserves a big part of that. What he was able to, do with Daniel Jones. You always got to be a little bit leery about guys when they're in free agency years. Is this peak Daniel Jones, or is this, kind of where he's trending? But to Heath's point, I think I've been talking about off the air. Where he's been in his career versus one season, he clearly finally had a play caller that is going to bring out the best in him. And so I think you got to just give it a little bit of an edge to the small sample size there. But yeah, I think this offseason is going to be very telling. First, does he stay? Second, what do they do to support him? Is there a premier running back there too? Because, that might put a little bit more on his plate if they don't have a guy of Barkley's, caliber and upside. So I think he's very much, as I said before, if you tell me right now, Tua's uncertainty, even with his great receiving core versus Daniel Jones right now, I would give a slight lean to Daniel Jones because of his rushing upside.
Over Tua, wow.
Well, the fantasy production. Yes, I think there's a lot to like about a guy that's going to run to his level.
Yeah. Okay, Dave, you want to get in there? What's Daniel Jones's upside?
I agree with both guys. I think if they give him another talent to work with, and if Wan'Dale Robinson steps up and manages to stay healthy, he's a good yards after catch slot receiver type. So they need somebody that can improve these numbers. He was 25th in yards per attempt. This year with Brian Daboll. Tied for 21st in passing touchdowns with Marcus Mariota. That number needs to go up. His ADOT was 6.4 yards. His deep pass rate was 5.9%. Both of those tied for 32nd among qualifying quarterbacks. I think if he has to do it alone, this year showed what he's capable of doing. And he was like right around QB 12. If he gets help, then yes, he can be better than that. He can be just inside the top 10. And certainly be worth taking with more than one of your last 3 picks on draft day.
I mean, really, the only thing that changed that much in terms of the passing this year was the fact that he stopped turning the ball over. The key to him being good this year was they let him run. He ran for as many yards this year as he had the last 2 combined almost. But he wasn't – it's not like he made a big leap as a passer or was good as a passer.
I think also, just to tie in Trevor Lawrence too, and this is something you talk a lot about, Adam, is rookie receivers, how the year goes on and they get better. These guys both had new play callers this year. And you saw, some struggles early on, mostly for Lawrence. But as he picked up the system and got more comfortable in the system, as Daniel Jones got more comfortable in the system, and you started to say, okay, these are my guys around me, in Jones's case, because of some of the injuries, Sterling Shepard going down and, Wan'Dale Robinson going down, the trading of Tony, he looked the part. And so forget about how the game ended against the greatest team ever, according to you.
Yeah, one of them.
He looked the part. And so, that's the thing you got to buy into. Yes, some of the matchups were
What's the
more
part
in
against
favor
the
of
Vikings?
Minnesota.
That's the concern I have, Jamie. That it was the Vikings twice and the Colts.
Yeah, no, I get that. I certainly get that. But it's not like, he had a good game against Philadelphia. The first time they met, he left the game. Tyrod Taylor ran for 40 yards, but he had 169 yards and 2 total touchdowns in that game.
He had a good fantasy game. That was
a good fantasy game. Yeah,
he didn't have a good
I'm talking
game,
about fantasy value.
Right,
He's right. Value, but you give him year 2 in the system, better weapons around him.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the chance. He's not going to be a superstar. I don't think that's his range of outcomes, but he's got a chance to be in that where Matt Ryan has been, where Matthew Stafford has been. Guys that are Derek Carr has been. Whatever slot you want to put him in. A guy that's going to be knocking on the door if things go really, really well for him, but never going to break through. I don't think he's never going to be like that. And that's probably, I'm probably giving a disservice to guys like Ryan and Stafford, but you know what I mean? Not going to be
Cousins.
the best of the best in the league. Cousins. Yeah, great example.
Reliable fantasy starters.
I'm just talking about reliable quarterback, a chance to put up good fantasy numbers.
Yeah.
He's going to do it a different way, but he's got a chance, I think, to be good for the Giants, really good for fantasy at times. And, again, right supporting cast could help you win a fantasy league.
He's got to follow the blueprint that Jalen Hurts has. Okay, because this was Hurts' second year with Sirianni. He got a big boost during the offseason with A.J. Brown. And then he went out and he was a monster for fantasy. It's exactly what Daniel Jones needs for his second year with Dable.
Okay, let's move on.
But he's not gonna be Jalen Hurts though.
No, that's not what we
I
meant.
don't think he'll be as good as Jalen Hurts. It's just the type of offseason he needs.
The problem is, look at the free agent wide receiver class is horrible. So it's going to have to be a trade or
but you
someone gets
say
cut
that, though.
or they draft.
Tyreek wasn't a free agent. Devontae Adams wasn't a free agent.
It's going to have to be a trade.
A.J. Brown too.
They'll have to do that, but
maybe it's Diggs after his blow up on the sideline.
I mean, they're not going to be able to go out and get Kenny Golladay again. Okay.
No, the thing that you got to do is you got to do exactly what all those other teams did: is look at the guys that are going into the final year of their rookie deals, and who's in a bad spot. Like if I'm the Giants, I might call the Colts, say, is Michael Pittman available? Those type of guys.